Hello, and welcome. My name is Tad D'Agostino, and I work at Neue, Galerie, New York as part of the Visitor Services team. I am also an actor and a tarot reader. As we enter a new year, I look forward to introducing you to the tarot, so perhaps we can gain insights on what's to come. Today, I will cover the basic history of the tarot deck, its design and philosophy. I will also teach you a simple 3-card reading and a 1-card daily meditation that you can try out. I will be using the Jugendstil Tarock, designed by Ditha Moser, Coleman Moser's wife, in the Wiener Werkstätte style. I will be focusing on an intuitive approach to these readings, so hopefully it'll be useful for new and seasoned readers. How did I first come to tarot? My mom and I went to an occult bookshop/cafe for Mother's Day, and she bought us readings. And she said, this is only going to be a one-time thing. And of course, from then on, I was hooked. And rather than pay for more readings, I decided to just study the tarot myself. This would blossom into a lifelong obsession with all things tarot, occult, and magic. This practice is great for decision-making, opening up your thought process and divination. By divination, we mean asking the cards, and more importantly, ourselves, what will happen if I continue on this path, rather than fortune-telling, which says, if you do this thing, this will happen to you. In this way, we take advantage of our free will and can choose the best path for ourselves. The tarot was first mentioned in 1332 by Alphonse XI, King of Leon and Castile. Now, he banned it along with other gambling games. It seems that the tarot was a fashionable sort of gambling deck, and it got passed around from noble to noble, and each noble, not wanting to be outdone by the other, commissioned another artist to do their own deck and added more and more symbolism at the time. And by the end of the 14th century, there were over 100 cards in the Italian version of the tarot deck, and these cards included cards for the zodiac and for the so-called Christian virtues. Now, it took about 200 years after that for the tarot to resemble anything close to what we use and what it looks like today. In 1909, Golden Dawn occultist A.E. Waite, along with the artist Pamela Colman Smith, painted a new tarot deck. Now, this was important because it was the first time that the minor arcana or suit cards were painted allegorically. And this accessibility led to much of the popularity of the tarot that we enjoy today. Now, I just want to point out something important is that it's known as the Rider-Waite Tarot, but it should be known as the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, as Smith painted the cards and she was very important in the making of them. Now, by contrast, the Ditha Moser Jugendstil Tarot actually predates the Rider-Waite-Smith by about 3 years. Now, it seems like these cards were just meant to be sort of playing cards, but because we're reading intuitively, we can take a look at the images on the cards and let that speak to us. And so there's no reason why we can't use these cards as we would the Rider-Waite-Smith or the Thoth deck, any tarot deck that you might have. Even people use playing cards for divination and that sort of thing. The tarot consists of 78 cards in total, split into 56 minor arcana and 22 major arcana. The minor arcana consists of 4 suits and the numbers 1 through 10, as well as 4 court positions in contrast to the 3 court positions we see in a traditional playing card deck. And these are swords, pentacles, wands, and cups. It can change from deck to deck, but they're the same. And these represent the 4 elements, namely air, water, fire, and earth. Fire is going to represent creativity and passion and sort of that inner drive to go out and do things. And pentacles represent the physical objects like stability and all that kind of thing. And then we have cups, which represent water or our emotions and how these things flow. And then we have swords, which are my favorite and represent intellect. You can break these 4 elements. You can analyze them into a lot of different things. They are also numbered 1 through 10, with 1 always being the ace, representing the root ideal of the suit. So just its pure potential energy, nothing standing back, nothing in the way. And the 10 being the most robust and finely tuned of the elements. In addition, there are 4 court cards rather than the 3 you might see in a regular playing card deck. And they represent people in our lives or ways that we might view ourselves. The court cards in the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck are Prince, princess, king, and queen. So the princesses always represent the earthly part of the given element. King represents the fiery part of a given element, the queen, the watery part of the given element, and then the prince, the airy part of the given element. In addition, there are 22 major arcana or trump cards. They will be numbered from 0 to 21. 0 is the fool, or the beginning. 21 represents the world. The major arcana gives us a more grand overview of our questions, so it can be helpful to just focus on them first. At the end of this instruction, I want you all to feel comfortable picking 3 cards and just doing a reading for yourself or for a friend. Or better yet, pulling 1 card every day. In this way, any tarot deck can be unlocked. All you have to do is pull the card and write down whatever impressions it gives you. Now, these can be intellectual, creative, physical, anything. And then write down the date and time, and also the position of the moon in the heavens, and maybe even the weather. It can be helpful to track these independent variables to see how they affect yourself and your reading, and just gain a lot of insight. It'll be really interesting because you'll start to pull cards again and again and notice these patterns. And it's really fascinating. I'd love for you to take a look at this card, the Princess of Cups, and just kind of think about what kind of person this might be. You know, she's watery, but she also has this stability. So it's someone who's in tune with their emotions in a very physical way. We can just begin to really read intuitively based on the card and what we know about these elemental pairings. Now, as I said before, you can do a reading for yourself or for a friend. It can be a great way to discover your inner dialogue and really open up the questions that really matter to us. And it's just an endlessly novel and fascinating way to spend time with someone, really get to know them. Make sure when you read someone else that you allow them to give you the impressions and that you mirror them, and pay attention to the little subtle things they do, how they're feeling, and try to get them just to take a second in the moment and ground themselves, because it's a nice time to really listen to each other, really listen to someone else. So to begin with today, I want you to separate the minor arcana from the major arcana in whatever deck you've selected for yourself. And this is, again, just so that we can have a little bit of a focus. Now, you can come up with a topic or a question you'd like to ask the cards. We're looking for topics or overviews and sort of what do I need to know about any given situation. On that note, it's important not to ask any yes or no questions, just because the tarot language is too ambiguous to be understood in this black and white kind of terms, and you're just not going to get a satisfactory answer to that kind of thing. Now, with your topic or question in mind, take the cards in hand and give them a shuffle as you take a second to ground yourself in the moment and be open to the reading that you're about to receive. And at this point, if you're reading somebody else, you want to give them the cards to shuffle while they have this topic or question. And they don't have to share it with you. It's really interesting for them to see it come out that way without having asked the question. But if they'd like to, that can be really helpful as well, because then you know what you're talking about. Again, it's just up to them. So shuffle the cards, and if you want to explore reverse cards, you can shuffle them end to end. I won't be going into reverse cards too much because the Jugendstil Tarock, there's no reverse, or it's both at the same time. Very quickly, don't think about them as negative. That's not going to be helpful for you. I like to think about them as energy coming at me that I need to incorporate. When you feel that you are done shuffling the cards, I want you to take them into a pile and cut them to the left into 3 piles. Take it from the right to the left and stack them back up so that the cards are all reversed. Then you can just pick 3 right off the top, or if you have the time and the space, you can fan out the whole deck and then take your non-dominant hand and let the cards kind of pull themselves out. And if at any point you're shuffling, however you shuffle, and a card pops out, you have to use this card. This is because the energy of this card is reaching out to you. You know, it literally jumps out of the deck. So it's helpful to just take that for granted and use this card in your reading. Reading from left to right, in this example, we're going to be doing, I'll be thinking about the left card being the past, the middle card being the present, and the right card being the future. Now, if you're reading for somebody else, you just reverse that, so it's oriented towards them. And you can use any grouping of 3 things that make sense to you. You could have one card represent the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and let's say your superego. For this example, I will be again using this past, present, future orientation, and I will be asking the cards, what do I need to know about my love life? So the first card will represent the past of my love life, the middle card, the present, and the right-hand card, the future. I know not everyone can shuffle like this, but so you can use the table or just take them like that. That can be useful. So what do I need to know about my love life? That's what almost everyone asks, so I thought it'd be a good topic for me. Okay, now I'm going to take them and fan them out. This one. Right there. Okay, so in the first position, we have 7, the Chariot, and this represents a kind of a stable moving energy. And in your deck, you might have some sphinxes connected to the Chariot, and it's interesting to think about the actual object going down into the ground. In the Jugendstil Tarock, as we have here, there's a swan depicted with sort of like ducklings next to her or him, and they're looking towards a decoy, while above them seems to be like a red-breasted hawk in sort of these weeds. So as it applies to my love life, I think it's this sort of pure heart kind of loveliness, which is the swan, and it's kind of directing its energy at sort of a decoy, if you will, or something that's not necessarily receptive to that love, while right above that is this beautiful, passionate bird that seems to be ready to come together. So it's kind of like I have this ideal, and it's definitely attainable, and it's definitely there, but I'm sort of looking in the wrong direction, sending my energy to a decoy, so to speak. This ultimately means that I have the right intentions, that I'm going forward with an open heart, which is what I think is important in love, and that we're all bound to make mistakes, and I'm thinking just don't take it too seriously. In the middle card, we have 3, or the Empress. This depicts kind of a home life, a single person making their home up. And traditionally, the 3 is the growth and that enveloping sort of female energy. Not that it's exclusive to females, but that it has that connotation of sort of the womb and nature and growth. It's interesting here to see the clock, because time kind of envelops us all in that way. So as it applies to this reading, I feel like the cards are telling me to just be stable in this growth, that I don't need anybody to have love in my life, that it's really important for me to feel that the universe is looking out for me and that way, and that this is just part of my growth, this time of being alone, and that I'm not really alone, that there is this feminine energy all around me, keeping me growing, keeping me safe. So finally, we'll take the last position, and it's going to be 4, or the Emperor. And this is sort of the masculine ideal in the good and the bad ways. It represents the rule of law, and as we see in the Jugendstil Tarock, there is sort of a soldier next to a dog, and in traditional tarot decks, there's like that ideal of ruling over something and making laws up and that kind of thing. So I would take this advice as moving forward, and that if someone wants to be with me, they're going to be with me, and that I should make up the rules for my own love life, and that people will naturally fill in that space as I just carry myself forward. This is more about being yourself and setting up the rules and kind of leading your animal mind, as opposed to at the beginning kind of being led by the animal mind. Reading the whole thing, I'm coming from this place of sort of innocence and feeling, and that's a great place to start from, an open heart, and that now it's being grown by this feminine energy, and that's really lovely. That's exactly what we want, especially when we're just stuck at home. And then moving forward is just taking that all for granted, that that's exactly who I am, that's exactly who I'm supposed to be, and there's no one that can tell me any different because I make up the rules for myself. And so I think I've got lots to look forward to. Hopefully this has been a fun and friendly introduction into the tarot. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me at Tadisrad on Instagram or my website, taddagostino.com. Now that one has all the relevant links that you could ever need. And thank you again, and have a happy new year. Auf Wiedersehen.